family, and we started a series called Commission to Cure Desert Places. In fact, the vision of our church is to an empowered people, raising people that will cure desert places in all segments and stages of life. What are the desert places? Everything that does not resemble heaven is desert place. Violence is desert place. An insecure city is a desert place. That people go to bed hungry is a desert place. If you divide the whole land in our nation, in our continent, or on earth, among everybody has 2 acres to himself or herself. That means that the resources that God has put on earth is too much that it can never be depleted. Population control is a sham. Because it said we should go and produce. We should reproduce. And if it finishes, we should replenish. That the capacity to replenish is inside of us. That means that this world can never be overpopulated. Can never. Because there's a capacity to produce that you have never seen before. How can somebody bring a machine and the machine can convert air to water? That is how creative and innovative you are. And you must understand this clearly, that you were put here to cure desert places. Whether you know it or whether you do not know it. The day you gave your life to Christ, something happened in your DNA. In Mark chapter 16, verse 15 and 16, the Bible said, and he said to them, go into the world and preach the gospel to every creation. He who believes and is baptized will be saved, but he who does not believe will be condemned. Preach the gospel. Preach the gospel. It's not by being here preaching. Your lifestyle can preach. Lancelot is preaching with movies. I remember when they acted the movie here, Open Heavens. And it may shock you that movie now, the title has become our prayer room title, Open Heavens Prayer. And when the miracle was really happening, the actors here felt that there was an heaven that opened. There was a presence that actually came. And we could feel what was happening. That is preaching the gospel. Your lifestyle preaches. Your movement preaches. Everything about you preach. And God has commissioned you to preach the gospel to the nations. To human beings, to creation, to creature. He has commissioned us. Does it not shock you that many of us say, if you say you should go and preach, you say you are not a pastor? But as he was giving the commission, he wasn't saying, pastors, go as you go, preach the gospel. No. He was telling every person who will enlist into this army. The question I need to ask you today, are you born again? I didn't say whether you go to church. Are you born again? If the trumpet sounds now, every time they say Jesus is coming, people will be afraid. I'll be wondering. You are afraid that Jesus is coming back. Is he coming to beat you? The reason why you are afraid is that you are not sure. And today is a day for you to be sure. Because most of us, we inherited Christianity. We woke up and saw ourselves in children's church. Say, what am I doing here? And let's just continue. Christianity is not the building. It's not how tush the pastor speaks. Not how tush the environment is. Christianity is an encounter. The disciples told them, say, you can flog us, but what we have seen, what we have taught, what we have handled, we can't help but to speak about it. How many of us can really pay the price for what we believe? In Matthew chapter 28, verse 18 and 20, and Jesus came and spoke to them, saying, all authority has been given to me in heaven and on earth. Go therefore and make disciples of all the nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. And lo, and teaching them to observe all things that I have commanded you. And lo, I'm with you always, even to the end of the age. Somebody say amen. Today I'm coming to talk about you have been commissioned. The day you gave your life to Christ, the day you said you are enlisted and follow Jesus for the rest of my life, you were commissioned into the army of God. And nobody, I repeat, nobody that is in the military is supposed to deal with civilian matters. You have been enlisted, you have been commissioned. I don't know why we follow Jesus. You may have come to him with different reasons. Maybe you had a problem. It doesn't matter what brought you in. But the moment you came in, you were commissioned, and your commissioning, the goal is this, is that you have to bring the template of heaven here. In Mark chapter 16, these were the parting words of Jesus in Mark and Matthew. In Mark, he was saying you should preach the gospel to every person. And you know what? We have done well with that. There have been massive crusades. People have done so many crusades. Somebody did a statistics one time and said, based on the conversion in crusade ground, the world has been converted at least twice. You know, there's nobody you meet in Nigeria now, mostly, especially in the south, and say, are you born again? Say yes. In fact, we don't say, are you born again? We say, which church do you go to? And it seems as if that command is no longer with us. The first commandment in Mark chapter 16 is to preach to every person individually. In Matthew 24 is to disciple nations. That means that we are supposed to take the hand of Edo State and disciple Edo State. We are supposed to take the hand of Nigeria and disciple Nigeria. The Bible speaking in Isaiah 51, it says, out of all the children he has born, there is no one that will take a hand into our destiny. The question is that, how many of us love this nation enough to disciple it? If I give you a visa, residence permit, and I say, choose, disciple Nigeria, which country do you want to go? But the truth of the matter is that some persons disciple that nation you are going. Some persons put the structures there that you're going. And the truth of it would most believers actually believe that the preaching of the gospel or the discipling of the nation is for the government, especially the discipling of the nation is for the government. That the preaching of the gospel, look at what we believe, the discipling and putting of structures in Nigeria is for government, while that of preaching of the gospel is for pastors. I am just a spectator. But we want to reap the benefit of it. We want to do it. And so even when there are structures put in place, we don't want to follow. Really, how many of you drove and beat traffic light this week? How many of you opened sweet and you put it in your mouth and gave the paper to government? of you thank God? 2 days now. Yesterday, day before, the rain fell. How many of you thank God that thank God my dustbin was already full? I need to settle it inside gutter so that it will push it to the moat. And the rain was heavy. The question is that we don't hear all these things anymore. But I can tell you, it's the reformers that came and brought the scriptures and discipled nations and put the nations together. There is no nation that follows the 10 commandments that will not be discipled. No nation. The basis for every development is based on the 10 commandments. And that's why it said in Exodus chapter 20, it said, I'm the Lord your God that brought you out of bondage. He now listed the 10. That means that he would have said, I'm the Lord your God that created you before listing. What he was trying to tell them, I'm the Lord your God that brought you out of bondage. If you follow this, you won't go back to bondage. Any place where authority figure and fatherhood is destroyed, that nation is going down. There is nothing about it. And gradually we are tending to that place where authority figure is being abused now. And we say we are civilized. No, there's no civility in it. I know there are people that are oppressive. But you see, the sins of the father should not be exalted more so that you can destroy the fatherhood of God and the fatherhood nation. So when you take away the fathers from the home, the children go the other way and you say you are civilized. No. God understood when he said, thou shalt not steal. And that's why you see, we have artists now who cannot make money from their album because people are stealing their proprietary rights. Oh. There's no movie we have watched here in this church that didn't buy. That we didn't buy. We bought original. We didn't go to torrent. And sometimes we are okay with it. Just download it from torrent. And when you go to that nation that you want to go, you are afraid. Because if you do it, because it's like somebody just entering your land and building a house on it. So God is still in charge. And that's why I want to tell you, how do we preach the gospel? What is the greatest commission that we need to understand? You must understand clearly that the hope of the church is the rapture, but the hope of the world is the gospel. So every time we are going through crisis, all we are saying, Jesus, come quickly. That's the hope of the church. But the hope of the world is the gospel of Christ, that the world was steeped in sin, and somebody came and paid for the sin, took the price, redeemed us, and said, you are now free to be part of this kingdom. That's the power of the gospel. And that's what the world needs. That's what the person that is not doing well needs. That's what the addict needs. That's what that drug person needs. That's what that person who is doing corruption. That's what even that person who do not know Jesus. Is because you were born in a Christian home. That's why you are a believer. Really. It may even shock us sometimes that we have even given up hope to preach to Muslims. Say, just leave them. Let them go die. Imagine Jesus was coming and say, hey, Daddy, Father, leave them. Let them die. Let's go and start another one because this one is finished. I told myself, bye-bye to powerless Christianity. If the Bible does not, if what I have seen in the book of Acts, Jesus is still the same yesterday, today, and forever. If it's not working, let's abandon it. I can't preach a gospel and tell you what Jesus can do and cannot demonstrate it.
you cannot solve does not exist. What you cannot fix, Lord. What you cannot fix. What you cannot do. What you cannot do. Hey. What you cannot solve does not exist. Come on, lift your voice and call him Elion. Hey. Our God is awesome. What he cannot do does not exist. Who diligently
To order for copies of this message or other series by Benan K. Akhigbe II, please visit the Firm Exchange at number 5 Origbeni Street off Idenya Road off Ihama Road, GRA, Benin City. You could also contact us via our telephone numbers 080-510-28787, 070-696-96499. You could send us an email on info@femfoundationg.org, or you could visit our website on www.femfoundationg.org. Thanks and God bless.